Welcome everyone to the Marion Coalition for Effective Government 2018 Candidate Forum and Debate. I thank you all very much for coming. It's wonderful to see a packed audience. I want to thank our sponsors, first and foremost. We're very grateful to have Ocala Magazine as our corporate sponsor, also Whiteland Construction, Home Run Realty, and Combined Insurance Services of Florida. We're very grateful for their support. So before we get started this evening, we of course want to start the evening off with the Pledge of Allegiance and a prayer, and we have no one better to do that but our own Sheriff, Billy Woods.
Yeah. Because what she didn't, this really isn't a debate. I got you all here because everybody's got a warrant. Look at there, I got your attention, didn't I? See, I can laugh right now because it's not me up here this go around. Heavenly Father, we come before your throne tonight. First of all, we thank you for sending your Son to die on the cross for every one of us. Father, we thank you for the love and grace that you do give us. We thank you for our lives. We thank you for our families. We thank you for this country. We thank you for the opportunity to do what we are doing tonight, because this country is a great nation only because of your love. And I hope, Lord, that we never forget that. I hope that we never, ever turn our eyes away from you, because that's when we will fail. Lord, I pray for each of the candidates that come out here. I pray that you give them a calm. As you know, I've been there, and you sweat bullets. I pray that you give wisdom to each of the individuals that are sitting in the audience to listen and weigh everything that weighs on their heart to make a good decision. Because these are the decisions that defined not only our nation, but our capital, our state, and also here locally. And again, Lord, we thank you for your love. We pray that you keep us safe. We pray for our military, and we pray for our first responders. You give them that hedge of protection that each and every one of them need. For we ask it in Christ's name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You can be seated.
Thank you so much, everybody's favorite sheriff, Billy Woods. Okay. And before we get started, I know we have everyone here is very special, but we have two very special dignitaries in our audience. I'm not sure where, so I'll ask them to stand as I call them out, but Supervisor of Election Wesley Wilcox is here somewhere. Wesley, there he is. Okay. Thank you, Wesley, for coming. And I believe Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Heidi Meyer, is somewhere in the audience, way in the back. She's a good Catholic. All right. I will introduce our moderator for the evening. It is Joe Brown, and he will go over the rules for tonight. And as each group of candidates come out, he will go over the rules with them individually, so bear with us. And we do have our timekeepers down here tonight, Kirsten Angel and Todd Fambro. So Joe Brown, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, it's hot. They told me I couldn't wear my thong tonight, so I am in this suit. Yes. Billy forgot to thank God for that one. Okay. Tonight we will debate the county judges, school board, and county commission races. To begin with, we will start with the county judicial races. Each candidate will be given 3 minutes to introduce themselves, and they will be asked one question with a 2-minute time response and then a 1-minute rebuttal. The school board will each have 2 minutes to introduce themselves, and then each candidate will be asked 4 questions and 2 minutes to answer each question and 1 minute rebuttal. When through, they will have 1 minute to tell us why we should vote for them. The county commission races will be given 3 minutes to introduce themselves and each have 4 questions with 2 minutes to answer each question and a 1 minute wrap up at the end of their questions. Even though Sue's already done it, let me introduce tonight's timekeepers. We have Mr. Todd Fambro, Miss Kirsten Angel. They will be giving the candidates a 1 minute, a 30-second, and a 15-second warning when the time is almost up. So just kind of looking to them at the front. All right, we're going to get started, and we will start with our judges. In Group 2, we have Miss Sarah Ritterhoff Williams and Mr. William Bill Ramputi. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are we doing tonight?
There we go. Good evening.
Bill, nice.
Yep, mine's on.
There she is.
Hello.
Okay. Sarah, we're going to start with you, ma'am.
All right.
Oh, I'm going to ask you a question.
Oh, I thought we were going to get to speak first.
No, actually, run it, please. I'm sorry.
I'm
apologize.
all about the rules, all about the
Amen.
rules. All right, so,
3 minutes. It starts.
okay, and I'm going first. I was told my opponent, because he's alphabetical,
defer.
will go first.
You are first.
Okay. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Judge Sarah Ritterhoff Williams. I have been a county judge since 2007, and I've been serving Marion County with honor and integrity both on and off the bench. A little bit about my personal background. I'm married to my husband, Danny. He's a property appraiser, owns his own business here in town. He and I were both raised here, products of the Marion County school system. We're raising our family here. My beautiful daughters are here this evening. My daughter Emily is a graduate of Forest High School attending College of Central Florida, and Emily would like to be a preschool teacher when she graduates. And my younger daughter Allison is a rising senior at Forest High School, and she's interested in video production and broadcasting. My educational background, as I said, I'm a product of the Marion County Public School System. I too graduated from Forest High School, 2 years at College of Central Florida, and then went up the road to University of Florida, go Gators. I got my undergraduate degree in journalism and then went to law school at University of Florida as well. I then came home to Ocala. My first job was at the Public Defender's Office, and then I spent the rest of my career, 22 years, as a prosecutor at the State Attorney's Office. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe very strongly that a person should not ask the community for the public trust that a judgeship is without having first served the community and knowing the community. I'm very involved in the community, and that's not something that's new to me. I've always been involved here in the community. Currently, I am a proud Rotarian. I am a Take Stock in Children mentor and serve as the team mom for the Forest High School lacrosse program. In the past, I've served in a number of different leadership roles. I was president of Altrusa International and Inn of Court, YMCA Board, Chamber of Commerce, quite a few things here in Marion County. I have run my court for the last 11 and a half years with honor and integrity, with fair and sensible judgment. I treat attorneys and litigants with respect and the appropriate decorum, and I must say that I run my courtroom very, very efficiently. Cases move very, very quickly in my courtroom, and the last trial term I had, we were trying cases in June that had been arrested in early April, so things move very, very quickly. One of the most rewarding things I do as a judge is run the DUI court, which is a probationary court, intensive outpatient treatment with court supervision with those with serious drug and alcohol issues. We have changed lives in DUI court, and I'm very proud to say I know that we have saved lives in DUI court. Is that my time? Vote for me August 28th. Thank you. I'm Judge Sarah Ritterhoff Williams.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Thank you. Mr. Bill Ramputi, sir.
Good evening. What a turnout, folks. Thank you for coming. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Bill Ramputi, and I'm running for County Court Judge, Group 2. And I've chosen to take on that task because I think a judge is an essential part of being a judge is maintaining and upholding the public's trust and confidence in the court system. With that, I think judges have to treat people that come before them with dignity, respect, and courtesy. They have to have a good temperament to be able to communicate with people and keep an even mind, and to listen. I don't think that there should be standardized sentencing based on charges rather than going on a case-by-case basis and looking at individuals that come before the court, looking at the background and looking at each case individually on its own merits. I think there needs to be a change in Marion County Court, folks. That's why I'm running. A little bit about my background, I will tell you that I came to Marion County in 1989. I joined the rest of my family when I finished law school. We were raised by, I have 3 big brothers. We were raised by 2 wonderful parents who were our heroes. They instilled in us a great values, religious, moral values, and a sense of right and wrong. Our father was a Army veteran, paratrooper, who, after serving his country, went into the law enforcement career and retired as a police chief in South Florida. He instilled in us, each of us, a very strong work ethic. We know what it means to be responsible for one's actions. Folks, I ask for your support because there needs to be some changes in our courtroom. When people leave the courtroom and they're dismayed and feel like they haven't been treated fairly, that's a breakdown, and that erodes the confidence and the public trust in the courts. Thank you. We have, in our courtroom, we have a great coalition starting with the court administrators, the clerks of court, and the county courts. They have streamlined our dockets. They've kept up with the dynamic growth and technology that's come our way in Marion County. Cases run effectively. They run efficiently. That's all the courts in Marion County. There are 4 diversion court programs, people, and I think we as judges need to strive to get people out of the system rather than keeping them in the system. And part of that is giving them the tools so they can be productive members of the community, responsible for themselves, their families, and not taking up taxpayer dollars. I'll leave you, because we're time constrained, with this thought. These programs, folks, are being underutilized, and it would be my position to utilize these programs and get these people the tools they need to be productive in our great community.
Thank you, Mr. Ramputi. Okay, Ms. Sarah Ritterhoff-Williams. The first question goes to you. Do you believe that a person's history should have some precedence on the sentence they receive, or should all crimes be treated equally? Theft is theft, regardless of the circumstances.
All crimes can't be treated equally because the legislature has set forth different degrees of offenses. The legislature decides what the maximum penalties can be for a certain charge, so the court can't consider them all the same. However, the court has a great deal of discretion in sentencing, and understand that every case that comes before a judge, one party wins and one party loses. And maybe Mr. Ramputi's talking to people that he's represented because he is a defense attorney, and they're the ones that are not happy after they leave the court, because sometimes a judge has to hold people accountable and responsible for their actions. And when the circumstances and facts of a case and prior history of a person dictate, sometimes a jail sentence is appropriate. It is part of our legislation, and that is a sentence the court can consider. Sometimes the people that are before the court on criminal offenses, Mr. Ramputi's clients, are not happy when they are held responsible and accountable for their actions. But ladies and gentlemen, it's a tough job being a judge. Sometimes that is what a judge must do. I am not going to say that that's not going to be a sentence that I would impose. And sometimes people get upset when they are held responsible. So prior history. I raised my children. The first time they did something wrong, they were treated one way. The second time they repeated that offense, the punishment went up. The third time it would go up a little bit more. I mean, that's just common sense. So yes, somebody's prior history is going to be one of the factors that the court considers in holding people accountable and responsible if they are guilty of an offense.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Ramputi, would you like me to reread the question?
If you would, please.
Sir, do you believe that a person's history should have some precedence over the sentence they receive, or should all crimes be treated equally?
I think I understand the question, and absolutely not. Everybody's history when they come in should be taken into account on a case-by-case basis, and people charged with the same offenses shouldn't always be treated the same. Those are things that need to be looked at. Folks, I've represented over 20,000 individuals and their families in Marion County, and it's not just folks leaving the courtrooms that have been sentenced. It's lawyers, it's witnesses, it's jurors that are dismayed with what's going on in the courtrooms, and that's why we need a change. And to answer the question directly, yes, sir. Every case deserves to be treated on its own merits, and every individual that comes before the court should be treated on their own merits.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Ms. Williams, a 1-minute rebuttal.
Rebuttal? Or I agree. People should be treated on a case-by-case basis. Mr. Ramputi talked about predetermined sentences or something to that effect. Ladies and gentlemen, that is simply another word for consistency. He is complaining that I am consistent, and that is one of the things we strive for in our country. You do take cases on a case-by-case basis, but you have to have some consistency. It would make no sense whatsoever if somebody came into court with the same offense and got one sentence, and the next person that came, same circumstances, got another sentence. That would make no sense. I am consistent, I am efficient, I am respectful. I've run my court with fair and sensible judgment for the last 11 and a half years. And I ask you on August 28th to vote to re-elect Judge Sarah Ritterhoff-Williams.
Mr. Ramputi, would you like to rebuttal?
I have no additional rebuttal. Thank you.
Good, sir. Okay. Ms. Williams, 1 minute to tell everybody why they need to vote for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I grew up in this community. I am part of this community. I know this community and have served this community both on and off the bench. As a public servant, I ask that you simply continue me in my position of public trust. Check out my Facebook page for more information about me as the campaign continues, but I would appreciate your vote August 28th. Vote for Judge Sarah Ritterhoff-Williams.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Ramputi.
Folks, I appreciate the fact you come out to get information about your candidates and be informed voters. I ask you to do your research and talk to people, look things up. Don't go just off Facebook postings, but do some research. Know who you're voting for. This is one of the greatest rights we have in our great country. I'm going to suggest to you that every individual that comes into a Marion County courtroom has the right to be treated with integrity, respect, and be treated fairly. And as a judge, I will tell you I will work passionately to make sure I'm a fair and impartial judge and give everyone the case exactly what it entails, an individual case-by-case basis prior to any type of sentencing. I look forward to your support on August 28th. Please come out and vote.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure now tonight when you leave that you cash a ballot for your favorite candidate. When you leave, there's going to be a red ballot box out on the table in the front. I give you Mr. Ramputi and Ms. Sarah Ritterhoff-Williams.
Thank you. Good evening, folks.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving right along. We have Group 3. I'd like to introduce to you Miss Leanne Mackey Barnes and Mr. Tommy Thompson. Good evening.
Evening. Good evening.
Okay. Tonight you're going to be given 3 minutes to introduce yourselves, and then you're going to be asked one question with a 2-minute time response. If you wish, you can also have a 1-minute rebuttal, and when we're done, you guys can spend a minute wrapping it up and telling everybody why they need to vote for you. And we would like to start with that wasn't there. Mr. Thompson.
Very good. You ready? All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Tommy Thompson. I'm a county court judge in Group 3. I was first elected to this position in August of 2012, and I'm asking for your vote again this year. The primary ballot will be August 28. Folks, for the last 6 years, I've tried to apply myself in the job as judge to do the best job that I can for the people of Marion County. I'm currently the only judge that is assigned to both a criminal and a civil docket, and I think it's important to both have civil and criminal experience so that you can serve the people in the best manner possible. When I ran for judge 6 years ago, I ran with civil experience and with criminal experience. I practiced both types of law in Marion County. I worked for over 8 years as an assistant state attorney for Brad King at the state attorney's office, prosecuting felony and misdemeanor offenses. I was also involved in diversion court programming as a prosecutor. I also served over 2 years as a civil law attorney in Marion County, primarily doing medical malpractice defense. In my time in private practice, I also represented some clients who have been charged with criminal offenses and traffic violations. So I thought that gave me a good mix of experience as far as not only representing the victims of crime in the state of Florida as a prosecutor, but representing clients that are suing others over civil matters, as well as people that have been accused of criminal violations and had to appear in front of the court with the possibility of going to jail or prison. So based on that mix of experience, based on my temperament and the qualities that others thought in me would make me a good judge, I was encouraged to run. I ran in August, and I was fortunate enough to get the vote. Folks, for the last 6 years, I've tried to apply myself diligently to do the best job possible. I currently serve as the Marion County Misdemeanor Drug Court judge. I just started that up. Judge Lant began that program a couple of years ago, and he's turned it over to me. And I currently also preside over the Mental Health Court. Both of these diversion court programs are very important to me. I've run mental health court for a couple years, and I think that's a very important program. It helps those that are diagnosed with mental illness, that are charged with misdemeanor offenses, to get the treatment and the help that so often that many of them need very sorely and they don't receive otherwise. I'm happy to say that I serve on the board of directors at the Centers, which you may know is the primary mental health treatment facility for Marion County, and we were able to secure over a $1.2 million grant from Lutheran Health Services, which is the managing entity that distributes state grant money, and we're going to be applying that in our community, and I think that's going to help us in our mental health court, help treat even more people and find even more success. Folks, I served exclusively in 2016 as a civil law judge for Marion County. I learned a lot about civil law in that year. I think my mixture of criminal experience, civil experience, the things that I bring to the job and to the bench, serve the people. And folks, I ask for your vote one more time, August 28. My name is Tommy Thompson. I'm running for election. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Ms. Leanne Mackey-Barnes.
Good evening. Leanne Mackey-Barnes for Marion County Court Judge Group 3. And I was born and raised right here in Marion County. I attended Marion County Public Schools, raised my daughter, and married my husband, Troy, of 17 years. I started my journey about 6 years ago, and I did so after losing my father in a tragic car accident. He and my mom used to often talk about what they would do after they retired, but they never got the opportunity to do so. So it was at that time that I told myself that life was just too short to wait for something that you wanted. And the something that I wanted was to become a judge. As I stated, I was born and raised right here. My family has been a part of Marion County for over 200 years. My mom taught school for 37 years. My father was a veteran, and he used to work at what used to be called Wayside Antiques. It's the big red building off of I-75 going north. And one thing my father used to tell me when I was growing up, we were a family of 5, and I was often talked about because of what I wore to school. He said, you don't go to school for show, you go to school to learn. I don't do what I do for show. I do it because I believe in it, and I believe that I'm qualified. After high school, I attended the University of Florida, where I received 2 degrees, one in criminology and the other in sociology. I came back to Marion County I became a special education teacher. And in 2002, I graduated from the University of Florida Levin College of Law, and I've been practicing law for 16 years. I am currently the Chief Assistant at the Law Office of Michael A. Graves, your elected public defender. I've handled felony, misdemeanor, and juvenile cases. I am the Chief Assistant, so that means that I supervise and train all the attorneys that come in the office. I've trained and supervised over 100 attorneys in the practice of law. So I have to know what our 4 county court judges are doing in order to place people there to practice before them. Besides all of my supervisory duties, I also handle my own docket. I currently handle all the Baker Act cases from Marion and Citrus County. I do that at the Centers, the Vines, Department of Corrections, and Division of Administrative Hearings. I also do intellectual disability cases, truancy cases, and domestic violence contempt cases. All are civil cases in circuit court. I also have assisted in the development of Marion County's first Veterans Treatment Court, Marion County's first Mental Health Court, and Marion County's first juvenile expungement program, and that's because I believe in opportunity. I also believe in this community, and that's why I've dedicated countless hours helping out. I'm currently the Vice Chair for PACE Center for Girls Board. I am the Chairman for the Florida High School Athletic Appeals Committee. I am an active member of Kiwanis Club and an active member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, where our primary focus is on community service. And I believe that my experience as a mom, my experience as a special education teacher, my experience as an attorney, a county court supervisor for 14 years, and my experience now as chief has more than prepared me for this job, and I ask for your support.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes. Okay. All right, we're going to give you each a question. Same question. You'll have 2 minutes to respond, and be sure to keep an eye on the timekeepers. I'm going to start with Leanne Mackey Barnes. Do you believe that a person's history should have some precedence on the sentence they receive, or should all crimes be treated equally? Theft is theft, and regardless of the circumstances.
I believe when a person comes before a judge, they should be given that opportunity to explain what has happened in their facts and circumstances, and a judge should take all of the facts and circumstances into consideration. As a special education teacher, that taught me that everybody is different and their needs are different. So you have to judge people based on an individual basis, and as a judge, I believe that's what I would do.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Thompson.
I think the short answer would be yes. What's occurred in the past does play a role as far as what the sentencing should be on what occurs now. And I would tell you that this is a situation that county judges encounter probably on a daily basis. In the diversion programs, today we had a misdemeanor drug court. And so you can imagine drug offenders that are in this program, we're trying to get them treatment, we're trying to get them counseling. If they need medication or some kind of other assistance to make themselves better, to clean themselves up and be productive, contributing members of the community, that's what we're trying to do. But you can imagine we have some offenders that continue to use substances that they are not allowed to use while they're in this program. So the question is, what do we do? Do we kick them out of the program? Do we stop trying to help these people? So one of the most important things that I look at, one of the factors I consider and I weigh probably more than any other factor is, what is your prior record? Have you been in trouble with the law before? Because sometimes, folks, it's my belief, and I've experienced that this has bore fruit in mental health court as well as drug court. Sometimes you can take somebody that hasn't been to jail before and you can incarcerate them for a couple days, and you can give them a shock incarceration and make a difference. You can make an impact on them. And they can realize, I don't like being in jail. I think I like obeying the law better than being in jail. And so some people you can reach that way. Somebody has been to prison before, somebody's been to our Marion County Jail 100, 200 times, and some of you might say, well, nobody's been to jail 100 times. You'd be surprised. We have people in this community that have been arrested 100 times and been to jail 100 times. You're not going to be able to put somebody like that in jail for a couple days and make any kind of impact on them. So you've got to look at the individual, you've got to see what kind of path they've walked in life, and then try to mete out justice that's going to be proportional to what they did, because crime is crime, theft is theft, but also takes into account, what is the sentence going to be? Is it going to actually affect this individual? Is it going to get us justice?
Good stuff. Thank you. Ms. Barnes, 1 minute to tell everybody why they should vote for you.
As I stated before, I believe that my experience in my job, and I believe my experience in this community has more than prepared me for this judgeship position. I believe that I'm qualified. I believe in opportunity. I believe in this community. And last but not least, I believe in you. I know that I cannot do this on my own, but we can together. And that's why I'm asking for your support on August 28th. Leanne Barnes for judge. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson, 1 minute.
Folks, I wanted to thank the Marion Coalition for Effective Government for having us out here tonight, and I thank you all for being here. Folks, the reason I ask for your vote, it's a combination of my experience and what I bring to the bench as far as my time as a lawyer and my time as a judge, both a criminal judge and a civil judge. But folks, it's also about temperament. It's also about what do you bring as far as your patience and your willingness to listen to the litigants. And in county court, folks, we have a lot of people that come to court. They are not represented by attorneys. They represent themselves, and they may not understand the law. They may not understand the rules of evidence or procedure, and so it takes a patient judge. It takes a tolerant judge. It takes a judge that's willing to sit and work through these issues with the litigants, try to get them to understand how to articulate whatever they're trying to present to the court in a legally understandable manner. I think I've exercised that patience. I'm a patient man. I hope others have patience with me. And folks, I've tried my best to treat everybody in court the last 6 years the way I would want to be treated myself, and I think it's that mixture of temperament and experience that makes me the right person for this job. I hope to get your vote. Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Leanne Mackey Barnes and Mr. Tommy Thompson, thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. Next up, we're going to have Group 4. It's going to be Mr. Brian Avon and Mr. Robert Land. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Good, fantastic.
Thanks. Good deal. All right.
judges do the right thing at we should expect our judges
Nancy. Okay, thank you, Nancy. Nancy, up front, we have Mr. Todd Fambro and Miss Kirsten Angel. Just kind of keep an eye on them for the time here real quick. We're going to ask you just a couple of questions, all right?
Sounds good.
The first question we have for you is the school district has adopted a school safety plan for the coming year. What do you feel is the most important part of the plan in making schools safer, and why?
There are several parts of the plan that I think are very important. One of the things I'm happy about is that we had already done school safety assessments, so we were a little bit ahead of the game compared to other districts. I like the fact that the conversation is surrounding hardening our schools. We know that that's going to be a process, but controlling access is really the first aspect of school safety. I know that we are going to have a school resource officer, and at our larger high schools, 2 school resource officers this year. So the goal is to have an SRO at every school. And also we're starting a guardian program where people can apply to go through, I think it's about 144 hours worth of training to then be able to help provide security at our schools. And the final aspect is that there has been a lot of conversation, and this really needs to come to the forefront. School shooters are almost always giving multiple signs that they're having incredible difficulties behaviorally and emotionally. And it's really up to us as adults to coordinate our services more effectively. And this includes this includes students, teachers, law enforcement, FBI. The profile of a school shooter is that they usually do multiple messages on social media. So that's the tragedy, is that it's almost never a surprise after it happens. Kids will say, and teachers will say, if there was anyone that was going to shoot up a school, it would be this kid. And it's not enough to just expel them because they come back.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if you heard me a moment ago, but again, I want to make sure on the behalf of the Marion County for Effective Government that we do appreciate you honoring that commitment and coming to speak to us tonight.
That's the way I was raised.
Well, let's roll. Okay, second question for you. Evergreen Elementary has been a failing school for over 10 years. What should have been the school board's responsibility in assuming that did not happen and that other schools don't have the same thing occur? You want me to read that again?
No.
Okay. I'm confused.
No,
You go ahead, take it away.
Right. My campaign centers around visibility, accountability, and communication. And this will be my 21st year working for Marion County Public Schools. And I've dedicated my life to working with the kids that are basically the underdogs. So you can't tell me that kids are not capable of learning and being successful given the right circumstances and support. And I feel like that there were just multiple missed opportunities. Coming from an aspiring school board member, I would have been building relationships with all of the schools in my district from day one. And like I said, I work in the district, so I can share with you how often I see our current school board member. And it's certainly not often enough. And I feel like if we are going to be the policy creators as members of the school board, that it's very important to get to know our schools if we're going to create policy for them. So the other thing is that there was a time when Evergreen was an A school and then hovered around B, never lower than a C. Well, in my humble opinion, why would you move that principal? Why would you move that administration and constantly shuffle staff around? And anyone with a business mind knows that it takes 3 to 5 years to change a culture. And so moving a whole administration after just a year or two just doesn't make sense, in my opinion. And it can be a tough population over there. So It's important to get people in place that will bring the community in, not wait for the community to come to them, welcome them, and make them feel like part of the solution.
Thank you. Okay, question number 3. It's nice, just you get this all by yourself, huh?
I said I wanted to take my passion to a wider stage, but I didn't mean alone.
You can switch around to pulpits if you wish. Okay, number 3. Nancy, the school district has charter schools. What should be their role within the county education system, and should they have the same accountability standards as other schools?
Charter schools are here. We need to make them compete with us, but that's difficult under the current conditions because it's not a level playing field, and I think that Francis Military Academy is a classic example of that, just hot off the press as of Tuesday night. They were given another pass for another failing year, and they've had 5 failing years in a row, 5 years of D's, and then I think they had F's prior to that, but they've never been higher than a D. And coming from North Marion High School, it infuriated me when they were blaming the kids that came in as level 1s and level 2s. I will say to you that those are my kids, and we are only given a very short amount of time to try to raise them up. And I'm very proud to say that in every other public high school in Marion County, there are level 1 and level 2 kids. And we have fantastic, fabulous teachers that are able to help them bring their skills up and pass the PERT tests and be ready to take their next step within several months, not several years. But it's sad because obviously Francis Marion has helped a handful of students that were not being successful for multiple reasons, I'm sure. Every student is an individual. But again, that comes down to leadership of the adults. So I say shame on them for letting the kids down.
Thank you. Okay, we've got one more question. The school board has had some difficulties in working with the superintendent and the administration. You want me to repeat that?
No, sir.
Just kidding. What would you, as a school board member, do to improve the effectiveness of the working relationship?
I think most importantly, it's critical to not enter into that kind of drama. My mind is on the mission. I've dedicated my life to helping kids, and I am a huge advocate for public education. So that's going to be my focus. And I really do enjoy difficult people. and it's fun when you can find common ground and hopefully begin to become more collaborative. I think that the public is going to have a lot to do with this. It is far past time to bring the community more into the conversation and back into our schools. We need you. And public education is public. And that means that we don't have all the answers as educators and employees of Marion County Public Schools. There is a wealth of ideas sitting right in this audience tonight, I'm quite sure. And my goal will be to make you feel welcome and to set an example for the rest of my school board members. 3 out of the 5 seats are up for election this time around, so please remember August 28th if you don't vote early. It's a golden opportunity to change the dynamic of the school board, and I look forward to being part of that.
Good deal. Okay. And because you've got the stage all by yourself, you now get 1 more minute to tell the citizens of Marion County why to vote for you.
First, I just want to say thank you again so much for taking the time to become even more informed voters. It's wonderful to have this kind of turnout. This is exactly what is needed. And I look forward, the best part about campaigning for me is being out in the community and not just talking to people, but listening to people. And I always learn something, and my interactions have been 99% positive. And I think people are looking for a new day. I think people look at me with hope in their eyes, like, are you really going to be active on the school board? Are you really going to go to your schools? Are you really going to be a catalyst to help get things done? And I'm very much looking forward to that. And so, again, I respectfully ask for your vote on August 28th. I'm Nancy Thrower, and thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Miss Nancy Thrower. Thank you. Have a good night. Okay, we are moving right along. School Board District 4 is an open seat, so we do not have any incumbents in this race. And the three challengers are Eric Cummings, Donnie Profit, and Ed Wilson.
Thank you.
Slight typo on there. It was District 3. I think I knew that. I'm sorry. Gentlemen, first we'd like to thank you tonight for honoring your commitment to attend our event, and we're very glad to have you. Here's what we're going to do. You'll have 2 minutes to introduce yourself, and then you will be asked 4 questions on a rotating basis, so you each have an opportunity to speak first. You will have 2 minutes to answer each question, and when the question and answer period is complete, you're going to have a 1-minute period to tell us about yourself and wrap it up. We are going to start with Mr. Eric Cummings.
Good evening, everybody. Let me try that one more time. I'm a pastor, so I need to have somebody talk back to me. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. We're in the right place. My name is Reverend Eric Cummings. I am the pastor of the New Zion Missionary Baptist Church. I am born in Ocala, born and raised in Ocala, educated in the Marion County Public School System, graduate of Ocala Forest High School, class of 1987. Go Wildcats. I am running for Marion County School Board District 3 because currently the Marion County school system is in a race to get to the bottom. Currently, we seem like we're right now ranked 61st out of 67 counties in the state of Florida. When I was in school, we were never that low. We were always on the high end, and it's unfortunate that currently our school system has dropped. Just these past few months, the rankings came out, we went from 57 to 61. If every year we keep dropping, in 2 years we'll be down. I'm from Ocala, as I said. I'm married to my high school sweetheart. I am currently work for the Florida Department of Corrections for the past 24 years. I am a former drug task force officer, and I am going to be your candidate. I'm going to be your school board member for District 3.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Donnie Profit.
Thank you. Hey, I am Donnie Profit, and I'm also running for Marion County School Board District 3. A little bit about myself. I am the only candidate here with teaching experience, actual experience on the ground. I've been working for the Marion County school system for about 10 years. I know I don't look that old, but that's what I have been working there. And I get to actually specialize in teaching a certain group of kids. We call them our emotional behavior kids. That's what I've been doing, and I really enjoy it. So I teach those kids a lot of times that people kind of count out, and I taught them on the elementary level and on the middle school level. I worked on the district level where I worked with the behavior support team, where I got to travel many schools. You name it, I traveled the majority of schools in Marion County, where I actually got to work with teachers and paraprofessionals and clerks, and I quite enjoy what I do. My education is from Southeastern University, and the degree is in ministerial leadership. And I'm a proud member of Meadowbrook Church, where I am their elementary coach, and actually I'm going to come here and help out with their East Campus here. And And one thing that I really quite enjoy, I get to do, I do a lot of things outside of the school. So I spend anywhere from 6 or 7 days a week directly working with kids. And I think we need somebody who don't need on-the-job training, who understand kids, who know kids, who've been in the system. I have a record proven to be able to work with all kids to get them from point A and to get them where they need to be. And I truly believe that. I believe all kids should be graduating from Marion County Public Schools, ready for college or ready to be vocationally certified. And I'm the person that can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I will make sure you guys know, even though I didn't mention it a moment ago, Mr. Fambro and Miss Angels up front doing the time. You guys figured that out, right?
Yes.
Mr. Ed Wilson, District 3, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ed Wilson. I'm running for Marion County School Board District 3 also. Thank you all very much for coming out tonight. I appreciate that you all have the interest in getting to know your candidates. I think it's very important to be an educated candidate, or voter, I mean. I'm the candidate, you're the voters. I vote too, so. Anyhow, I've been in Marion County since 1981. I've been a general contractor since the mid-'80s. I was the chief engineer at the Ocala Hilton for over 9 years. And I've worked on being involved in helping people get educated about the candidates and the issues for a really long time. I've made many, many trips to Tallahassee at my own expense, build relationships with legislators and try to improve our public education system, to try to improve government overall, and to make sure that we protect our rights. I believe that every child is a precious gift from God that deserves ample opportunity to achieve their full potential. After all, they are the future. Also, I have a very deep, strong desire to leave my little piece of the world better than I found it. So I will continue to work very hard to improve public education. Thank you all very much. Please vote Ed for education.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Okay, we're going to do our 4 questions. We're going to start with Eric. Eric, the school district has adopted a school safety plan for the coming year. What do you feel is the most important part of that plan in making schools safer, and why?
Well, the first thing about that school safety plan is Marion County at one point felt that we were untouchable. And recently we found that our school systems, our schools can be touched. So if we're going to make our schools safe, legislation has already said that we must have SROs on campus. But we have to go beyond just having SROs on campus. We need to look at the facilities and how our schools are set up, the layout of our schools, and make sure that we have secure perimeters. Almost any campus in Marion County, there's easy access walking on the campus from different points. We need to make sure that there are single points entry to the schools, and that there are people that are able to screen these people that are coming on campus. There has to be a check-in system, and it's important because our kids' safety and our teachers' safety and all the staff at that school safety is most important.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Donnie Prophet, would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes.
The school district has adopted a school safety plan for the coming year.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel is the most important part of that plan in making schools safer, and why?
Okay. Thank you for that question. That's
Yes,
a good
sir.
question. So I actually have looked at the school safety plan when it comes down to it. One thing I like to say, I remember the Forest High School shooting. Currently working at Osceola Middle School at the time, and Osceola is completely, most of those students do end up going to Forest High School. So I had kids in my classroom that had siblings that went to Forest High School, and my job was to make sure that they feel safe. There was a cold yellow. We told to check our email. I checked our email, school shooting at Forest High School. Then all of a sudden we've been on code red. Teachers don't understand why we was on code red, but I could tell you what I did. We barricade our doors, told my kids to be quiet. I was in that room and I got to see my students crying. And that's one thing that I don't want to ever see. Here's the most important part of that plan. School resource officers. We got to have them on our campus. That's the most important part. We want to have people who are trained to carry weapons to make sure that they can protect our kids. That's one thing. When it comes down to one point of entry, perimeter fencing is nice. That is. One thing we have to make sure is that we first have one point of entry, and a lot of times it's not just considered perimeter fencing. Perimeter's outside the school campus. I want to make sure that we connect our campus to where we only have one point of entry. And I actually went down and talked to our safe school coordinators. It's going to cost from anywhere from schools, sometimes $200,000 when it comes down to this. So I want to make sure that first, before we do perimeter fencing, that we have the right connection and gates to make sure that all schools have one point of entry. And I want to also make sure that we have kids get access to good mental health care. That's also an issue that I think we neglect to realize. So when it comes down to school safety, law enforcement, perimeter fencing, but access to good quality mental health care is a big thing when it comes down to keeping our kids, our parents, our teachers, and paras safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prophet. Mr. Wilson, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, sir, I think I have it.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I believe that keeping everyone safe at our schools, on our campuses, is the utmost priority. That's very basic. It has to be done. The most important part of the school safety program they've implemented, I believe, is a Guardian program. So with the Guardian program, ex-law enforcement and military with 132 hours of training and their own concealed carry will be able to carry on campus. It's not about putting guns on campus. It's about changing our schools from gun-free zones, that's kill zones, into making the bad guy think, you know what, if I go there and behave badly, someone there's liable to shoot back, and maybe I shouldn't do it. I think that's the most important part. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
Oh, I wasn't quite done if I have more time, but I can be done. That's
Oh,
okay.
oh. You
I
got another
think the
minute.
school resource officers is another very huge part, and we need to make sure they're there and visible. Thank you. And again, school safety is the highest priority. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next question, we're going to start out with Mr. Donnie Prophet. Mr. Prophet, Evergreen Elementary has been a failing school for over a decade. What should have been the school board's responsibility in assuming that did not happen and that the other school doesn't have the same thing occur?
You know what? I actually worked at Evergreen Elementary School. And one thing I'm not going to say here, I'm not going to spend time pointing blame what should have been done, what could have been done. We need to solve these issues. You know, I got to work at that school, and I stared these kids in the eye, and we need to make sure we do right by these kids. So we can sit here and say what the school board superintendent should or should not done. What we need to do is come together and see how can we fix that issue. One of the things to fix that issue, I remember being there 2 years ago and talking to the principal and talking to the staff. One thing I can tell you, there is quality people working at Evergreen Elementary School. Let's just stop that. Prophet, how do you say that? They already tried to clean the house out, and they hired new people, and it was still failing. So sometimes we have to look at it's the system that may be failing these kids, and not the people downstairs. So how do you do it? How do you do it? First, let's stop placing blame. Let's actually come up with solutions. And the deal is there are schools in this state that has the same demographic as Evergreen that is successful. So it can be done. And I truly believe that we have the right people there. A lot of times, and I'm just going to call a spade a spade, a lot of times our state politicians pass laws and never been on the ground and refuse to listen to the expert in the field, which in this case is teachers and parents. And that becomes the issue. So how do we do it? First, you got to stop penalizing educators. We really do, because we got people who want to teach at Evergreen who are certified, and because their kids cannot be successful on a test that is Common Core standards that nobody likes, we're going to base their pay and whether they're qualified to teach on a test that nobody actually feels is a test to gauge, and then we call the school failing. So how about we first start getting the right testing for our kids? How about we give our teachers support?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ed Wilson, sir, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, sir, I've got it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't want to look back at what should have been done and shouldn't have, and wasn't done and all that stuff either. I think that we need to move forward. I think we need to explore exactly what's broken, and maybe there's a lot of things broken at Evergreen and of some of our other schools as well. One of the things that they did recently try to do was they did get the community involved. They did bring in some mentors and some tutors, and they did some Saturday schooling. And I think that rather than placing all the blame anywhere, we need to look at the overall situation and correct as many problems as possible. I think that we absolutely need to reach out to the community, especially churches, and we need to bring in more mentors and more tutors and have more community involvement in all of our schools. Now, they've hired an external operator to come in and take over Evergreen, and they're sharing all of their expertise with all of the turnaround schools, direct action schools, and I think that that's a good thing, and we really need to take full advantage of all their expertise. But again, we really need community support to step up and mentor some of these children. I think that most of the people working in our schools are good people, just like you and me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Eric Cummings.
Please repeat the question.
Not a problem. Evergreen Elementary has been a failing school for over 10 years. What should have been the school board's responsibility in assuming that did not happen and that the other schools don't have the same thing occurring?
Well, let me say it this way. Evergreen got rated as a failing school, but it wasn't the school that failed. Because when you say the school failed, you said the students and the teachers and the principals failed. What failed was the Marion County Public School System and the systematic systems that they had in place were not recognizing that the school was slipping. And it hasn't just started slipping, it's been slipping for a long time. And when you don't address issues when they first happen, both of my opponents just said, we're not gonna look back and say anything about what's happened in the past. Well, if you don't know what happened, where you came from, you're bound to go back and do it again. So what we need to do right now is assess the situation. We understand that there's a problem. We have to address those issues and make changes, and you can't try. I keep hearing this word from my opponents. They're going to try. Why would we have to keep trying something with our kids when their education is at stake? We can't try. We have to be in a mode of doing. We have waited too long on waiting for somebody else to do it, waiting for this person, waiting for the government. It's up to the community as well as the parents, as well as the educators, as well as the Marion County Public School System to invest in our kids. If we don't invest in them now, I work at the prison. You're going to pay for them later when they get to my house. So I'd rather pay for them now than wait to the end and pay for them then. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So I did say sometimes we get rebuttal. Since he mentioned the opponents, do we get a rebuttal?
Mr. Prophet, go ahead with the 1 minute rebuttal.
Okay. So one thing you would never hear, anybody that know, you never hear try. You know, I teach the roughest of the roughest kids, and we don't try to do anything. We have to do it. As an educator, if I tried to do something, I wouldn't have my job. So we have to do it and work with these kids. What I'm saying is that I'm not going to place blame on nobody. We need to actually look in the future and see how can we fix this issue, because the issue can be fixed. So one thing I do feel without a doubt, every candidate that's running for school board, every teacher, every person in this community cares about our kids and will work hard for our kids. There is things to do to get it. We got to support our teacher. We got to support our staff. We got to have parental support. And those are the different things that we need to do to get Evergreen done, to get Evergreen fixed. But we're not going to try to do anything. We need to get things done for these kids.
Thank you, Mr. Prophet. Mr. Wilson.
I don't remember saying try. I don't think I did. I talked about what we need to do, and there's a lot that we need to do, and I have a track record of working hard and getting things done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The record will show when they listen over on streaming, they'll see try. They'll hear try.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. All right, we're moving right along. We're going to start with Mr. Wilson. Question number 3. You don't know this. You don't know this one yet, do you?
I don't know this one yet.
The school district has charter schools. What would be their role within the county education system? And should they have the same accountability standards as other schools?
Charter schools are free public education schools. I don't know why they don't have to play by the same rules. I'll tell you, I support school choice. I support parental choice. I think parents know what's best for their children, and they should have as many options as we can produce out there. I think that competition's a good thing. I will also tell you that I know there are some really excellent charter schools. I also know there's some not good charter schools. I only want the very best for Marion County. So I support school choice. I support good charter schools. I'll support homeschooling, virtual schooling, and any other options, private Christian schools, anything that comes along. School vouchers, I believe competition makes us better.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Eric Cummings, you're going to be next. Would you like me to repeat this question?
Please.
The school district has charter schools. What should be their role within the county education system, and should they have the same accountability standards as other schools?
Well, charter schools are here, whether we like it or not. They have been legislated in, and they are here. They do play a certain function for a certain niche of people, not for every student. My issue with the charter schools is that if you're going to take public funds and support charter schools more than you're going to give to our regular public schools, that's an issue. Those charter schools that are not performing, they should be at the same level, if not higher, than the county schools. Well, we say higher, but why can't our county schools, our public schools, be higher than the charter schools? Oftentimes, we rather start something new and invest in something that's so-called new instead of putting the money where it needs to be, and that's in the current public schools that are already there. We got to quit starting stuff and just start working on what we got. So they should be held to the same standard.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Donnie Profit.
Thank you. One thing, I'm not necessarily good with politics, but I'm pretty good on education issues, and I actually know this issue very well when it comes down to charter schools. So charter schools are, first off, funded differently. You may ask how. I know how. So you got some funds that we use to build schools. I could tell you right now, we got North Marion High School, we got Dunellen, we got schools that needs to get repaired. Yet, the majority of the percentage-wise of income get to go to charter schools because our state people feel like, well, they need to build new schools. I'm not worrying about building a new charter school until we fix up North Marion High School. I'm not worried about building a new school until my high school, Dunellen High School, get fixed. We have millions of dollars of repairs that need to be done to our public school, but yet the state decide that it's better to build a charter school. Here's the deal when it comes down to it. They need to be on the same accountability level. Charter schools right now are not on the same accountability level, and until that, I am not comfortable with sending taxpayer money to a school that don't need the same accountability. It's just that simple. We send money to things that could be for profit or not for profit, and once it's gone, we don't know what's going on with that money. And some charter schools don't even have to hire certified staff. We don't know what they're doing, and that is an issue. Let's make every Marion County public school a great school. We do have charter schools. Luckily in Marion, we don't have too many. So I will make sure that we hold charter schools in every public school to the same standards. But as of now, we have to make sure that every Marion County public school is a safe place that has the repairs that's getting done, that's having a certified teacher in front of them. Thank you. That's my time.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we're moving to our last question for this round. We're going to start with Mr. Eric Cummings. The school board has had some difficulties in working with the superintendent and the administration. What would you, as a school board member, do to improve the effectiveness of that working relationship?
loaded question at the end.
Got a little boom, didn't it?
Listen, everyone in here knows that the school board has had some back and forth issues with our current superintendent. And the thing about the school board is the school board has to know that there has to be some civility no matter what we are going to do. However, we can't legislate civility. We have to come to the point where we're going to say kids are first, students are first, teachers are first. My personal agenda, my personal feelings, my personal attitudes towards those people or persons can't happen on the school board because our kids' education is at stake. We have to be able to come to the board, and myself, I have a demeanor of being a calming person that will be able to reach across and say, hey, we need to do what's best for the kids. If we're not doing what's best for our students, we're not doing what's best for our staff, then what's going to happen is we're going to continue this downward spiral. If every other Tuesday night we're going to be fussing and cussing and acting uncivil to each other, then we're going to continue this downward spiral that we are doing with our school system. Next year we're at 61 this year, we'll be at 64 next year if we continue the uncivility of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. Mr. Donnie Prophet.
Okay. Luckily, I teach emotional behavior disability kids, so I have special training for situations like this. So I'm glad that's why you need to elect me. So believe me, I could keep kids calm or I wouldn't be able to do my job. But I'm sorry. Hey, listen, I taught middle school kids. I had to keep them entertained to get the education part done. But when it comes down to it, I'm in the classroom, right? And I must behave a certain way. I must do a certain thing, or guess what? They're gonna write me up. Simple. I expect my kids to behave a certain way. You walk in my door, I understand what's going on, but there's a certain expectation. And my kids love to say, once they go to a regular classroom, Mr. Prophet, you're kind of tough. Yes, I am. I hold myself to a high standard. You know what? And I truly believe, I have a degree in ministry, and I believe that people that have great responsibility, that we must behave a certain way. And if you ask anybody, that's the person I am. I am a true person of integrity. I'm this person that you see right here. You see me down there, I'm the same person. You come to my classroom, I'm the same person. The only thing that's a non-starter is what's not right for kids. If you want to do what's right for kids, I can work with you. There is no problem. But we got 43,000 students and almost 7,000 employees. This is people's livelihood. When people don't get good education, they can end up seeing him in jail a little too more. This is too important. So when I'm on the school board, the kids that was in my classroom, the fact that I may not be coming back to them, that was the big deal to them. I promised those kids that I make sure that our school system will look out for them, and I'm gonna keep my promise to the students in my classroom.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ed Wilson, would you like me to read this question?
No, I've got it.
All right.
And I don't need any special training to know how to treat people either. I was raised right. I've been very active in the political arena around here behind the scenes for a long time, and I already have working relationships with the superintendent and the board members and the county commissioners and our legislatures and everyone else. I didn't build those relationships by behaving badly. I built them by treating people with respect and honor and honesty and integrity, and that's what I'll continue to do, and lead by example and be a part of making much needed, necessary improvements if I'm elected to the school board. Whether I'm elected to the school board or not, I will continue to do what I've been doing and try to bring improvement to our community. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Gentlemen, you'll be given 1 minute to tell the folks why they should vote for you. And Mr. Cummings, we're going to start with you, sir.
My fellow citizens of Marion County, on August 28th, you're going to be faced with making a decision between one of us up here on this stage right now. You don't want someone that's going to represent you, that's not going to have your kids' best interests. Teachers, you don't want someone that's representing you that's not going to look out for your best interests. You don't want someone that's going to represent you that's not concerned about safe schools. I've looked at the schools district plan. Their 5 district goals have included kids last every year. Finally put safety at the top. So I'm the candidate that's going to put students first, safety, and making sure that our teachers are taken care of. My name is Reverend Eric Cummings. All right, now today I ask for your prayers, I ask for your support, and on August 28th, I ask for your vote. Eric Cummings, Marion County School Board, District 3.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. Mr. Donnie Prophet, sir.
Thank you. As you know, I am Donnie Prophet, so when you go through your ballot, make sure you just vote for Prophet. But why should you vote for me? As you can tell, if you can, I have a passion for this. This is my goal. I truly believe all 43,000 students with the right support can be successful. The day that I stop believing all students can achieve and don't put them first is the day that I need to find a new job. We don't need someone that need on-the-job training. We need someone who can hit the ground running, who knows the issue of the school system, who worked to make sure that our school system is working. And that's one thing I can do on day one. I can hit the ground running. I don't need to learn terminology. I don't need to learn our school. I'm the only candidate who has vowed to visit every school in their district before Election Day. And within my first year, I vowed to visit every school and work site. And clearly, my flyer says children first. That's the message. I got a vision for the future, and that's to put children first. That's something I've been saying 10 years ago when I got hired at Shady Hill Elementary School as a paraprofessional, and that's what I'm saying at South Ocala when I'll be working there next year.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Wilson.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I have a proven track record of working very hard for a very long time at my own expense, not being in office. So if you want someone that truly, truly loves our children, cares deeply about giving them the best education possible, and will continue to work really hard for them, then please vote Ed for education. And I'm the only one that didn't use up all the time.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Eric Cummins, Donnie Prophet, and Ed Wilson. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming tonight.
Thank you all very much.
Yes, sir. Okay, moving right along. Beyond any shadow of a doubt, the next group we have is School Board District 5, and we have Sheila Arnett and Pete Anderson. Incumbent Kelly King, she chose to attend the competing event, so we're very grateful to have you two here tonight. Thank you for keeping your commitment. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to have 2 minutes to introduce yourself. And then you'll be asked 4 questions on a rotating basis so that you each have an opportunity to speak first. You'll have 2 minutes to answer each question, and when the question and answer period is complete, you're going to have a 1-minute period to just tell everybody why they need to vote for you and wrap it up. So again, thank you for keeping that commitment. We're going to start with Pete. Oh, sorry, Pete. We're going to start with Sheila. Sheila, give us your 2 minutes.
Good evening. I want to thank, first of all, the Marion Coalition for Effective Government for putting on this fabulous event. Thank you very, very much. I am Sheila Arnett, and I am running for School Board District 5. I'm married to former County Commissioner Earl Arnett, and we have 3 children and 4 grandchildren, and have lived and worked in Marion County for over 35 years. I've been a hospice-specific healthcare recruiter since 2000. Healthcare clients hire my firm from all over the country to help them fill key management positions, and at times contract with us to identify weaknesses in their organizations and help train their staff on ways to grow their business. I'm currently on the board of the Marion County Homeless Council, and I'm a former board member on the Marion County Literacy Council. After spending many years with Earl working on city and county issues, I've come to realize I have a passion for serving Marion County, and so I decided to run for school board. I felt I had just the right fit to help and complement the current board. After working many years in business, I can see a need to unify the board in a direction that is more productive and civil to each other. As I tell the healthcare clients that hire my firm as a consultant, unity and stability are important, and this is doubly true for our school board. A corporation and the school board must be moving forward in the same direction to succeed. Our children are our most precious asset, and their education is of paramount importance. I know that many of you have already paid to raise and educate your children, and now we ask you with your tax dollars to help raise and educate other people's children. I promise to be a watchdog over our tax dollars and make sure that the school board budget, which is over $500 million, is held under tight scrutiny, and make sure that every dollar is spent wisely and out of necessity. I am Sheila Arnett. I'm running for school board, and I ask for your vote on August 28th.
Thank you, Ms. Arnett. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you. I also want to thank the coalition for inviting us and giving us this opportunity to debate. I want to say that I'm Pete Anderson. I'm running for School Board District 5. For the last 12 years, I've been in the classroom. I'm a classroom teacher. I've taught the elementary school level, grades 4th and 5th. I've taught for 11 years at College Park Elementary School, and then the last year at Ward Highlands Elementary. So if you want to talk about what's going on in the classroom, I know firsthand that that's where I've been. Previous to teaching for 12 years, I was a pastor and served in various churches and various capacities, whether it be minister of education or youth or music. Those opportunities gave me the chance to work with budgets and then trying to stay within budgets, trying to make sure that we met budget, planning budgets and all of that sort of thing. And for 16 years, that's what I did with working with not just children, but with also adults. One of the things that I did as a pastor was work with parenting conferences and had the opportunity to lead parenting conferences, helping parents understand not their children, but how to discipline their children, giving them opportunities, not opportunities, but giving them choices that could be made that would be appropriate. Previous to working with churches, I had 10 years in the business community. So I do feel like I am uniquely qualified. In the business community, I worked as a manager and then later on as an area manager for a restaurant franchise. And I had the opportunity not only to raise employees, but also to hire management as well. So I do feel like I am uniquely qualified because I want to help. In the closing years of my work life, I want to help the students to be better with our schools in Marion County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Okay, we do have those 4 questions. I'm going to start with Mr. Anderson.
Okay.
Sir, the school district has adopted a school safety plan for the coming year. What do you feel is the most important part of that plan in making schools safer, and why?
Okay. The board has already taken care of the ALICE protocol. What that basically is that in the classroom, if there is an active shooter on campus, there is a communication process that happens so that the classroom can respond immediately. That's important because what we need to know is what's going on. The communication is supposed to be in real time so that the classroom teacher can respond. Some of the things that happen, for example, is we lock the doors, of course. If they're not already locked, they should be. But if they're not, they are locked. If there is an active shooter on campus, there are things that are placed in front of the door, and there's a protocol for everything that we do. Now that we are finished with last school year, this coming school year, we have school resource officers, SROs as they're sometimes referred to, and that's important because every one of our school campuses will have a school resource officer, and that gives us the opportunity, at least for the children, to be safer than they were previously. That way, there's a uniformed officer that's there, and if there's a shooter that comes, then they have to contend with, well, where is the school resource officer? So I'm pleased that we've started the process of how we're going to take care of keeping our schools safer. On the other hand, though, it's been financed for the year, but we have to look at how we're going to do that in the future. So that's the debate that's going to be upcoming very soon, because when this school year is over, of course, we have the next school year right behind it, and we need to make sure that we tackle that issue of how we're going to pay for the school resource officers. So keeping our schools safe is utmost important. We have to make sure that, well, we're not the next school that you hear there's a major shooting and have something that's a tragedy. Unfortunately, that we've had so far in Marion County, we had the one incident, but it wasn't anything like it's been in other places. And we want to keep it that way and keep it safe for our school children.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Arnett, would you like me to reread that question?
Please.
The school district has adopted a school safety plan for the coming year. What do you feel is the most important part of that plan in making schools safer, and why?
So House Bill 7069 happened right after the legislature voted on that after the Parkland incident on Valentine's Day of this year. That House Bill 7069 says there needs to be a school resource officer on every campus in Florida, a school safety officer, or a guardian. That guardian program is named for Aaron Feiss. He was the coach at the school in Parkland that actually acted as a shield and put himself in between that shooter and the students. With that passing of House Bill 7069, this school year, really the district didn't have a choice. They went to SROs, school resource officers, in every school. The first price tag was about $5.2 million. This is a partially unfunded mandate from Tallahassee, and so Tallahassee is going to put in $2.4 million of that. And so the district, the commissioners, the sheriff, law enforcement came together, and the district had to come up with about $1.3 million this year. We need to look at taking advantage of that Guardian program in the weeks and months to come. You have to have, Sheriff Woods will do a class of about 140 hours. You have to go through a background check. We have about 50,000 veterans in Marion County. Lots of them tell me when I see them out in the community, we would love to sign up for this Guardian program and help keep our schools safe. I think that'll be a way in the future that we can save dollars. We also need to harden those targets. You know, you look at East Marion, that is way out in the forest. It would take law enforcement a long time to get out there if something were to happen. So we need to prioritize which schools to maybe do some fencing and some other things. And we need to harden that target and keep our kids safe.
Thank you, ma'am. We're going to move to question number 2. Ms. Arnett, you're going to be going first. Evergreen Elementary has been a failing school for 10 years, over 10 years. What would have been the school board's responsibility in assuming that that did not happen and that other schools don't have the same thing occur?
Evergreen has been a D or F school for at least 6 years. We've got current school board members now that have been in office 4 years, 8 years, 12 years. I think sometimes they've dropped the ball. I know that this year, because of a House bill that happened in Tallahassee, they had said that if this year Evergreen did not become a C school, we were going to have to bring in an external operator for that school. So a couple of the school board members decided, okay, let's do Saturday tutoring to the tune of about $16,000 that cost the district. 17 children were all that graduated from that program. It's a great idea, but it was too little too late, and it really did not affect the school grade at all. And so now we have an external operator that's coming in this school year to run Evergreen. It's a $400,000 price tag to bring that external operator here. We've got Oakcrest that is going down that same road. We've got other schools that they have been failing schools. They need to get up. We need, as a school board, to be engaged, to walk alongside administration, to try to find ways. The Saturday school was an excellent idea, but we needed to do it a lot sooner. And so as a school board member, you know, we need to aid those schools so that this doesn't happen again.
Thank you, Ms. Arnett. Mr. Anderson, would you like me to repeat that question?
I think I can handle it. Evergreen should not have happened the way that it did. We knew that it was a failing school before the beginning of the school year, and it seemed we waited way too long, we did too little, too late. The whole Saturday idea was a great idea. I'm glad that we did that. Why didn't we do that 2 years earlier? I don't know. I don't understand, for example, why we couldn't have taken a hard look at perhaps rezoning Evergreen, why that wasn't done, if that could have been a possibility. There's other things that we could have looked at that could have made it a better performing school. It's alarming to me that besides Evergreen, we now have 8 other elementary schools that are declining, and we can't keep that trend going. We have to go the other direction. We don't need F schools. I don't want to be a county that has so many of our schools on the bottom 300 in the entire state. We have got to reverse that trend. Well, how do you do that? Well, first of all, I do like the Saturday school idea. Again, it was too little, too late. We have to make sure that the school students are getting the attention that they need. I'm convinced that sometimes we're spending way too much time looking at the testing, trying to get data, so that sometimes it limits the effectiveness of the teaching that's being done in the classroom. That's a concern of mine. I want to also make sure that even though we talk about the learning, you have to understand these are kids, these are students, and many of them aren't going to learn if they don't get a break. They need to be able to go outside, which we do now have recess, but I want to make sure that that program that we're doing it to fidelity, that we're giving the children the opportunity to go outside and play, and then that's, of course, they have to spend the extra time to come inside and work. We can do a better job with our lower performing schools.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Moving right along. Pete, you've got the next question.
Okay.
The school district has charter schools. What should be their role within the county education system, and should they have the same accountability standards as other schools?
I'll get this right away. And yes, they should have the same standards. I need you to understand that if a parent who is their child's chief advocate believes that the public school is somehow not performing to the parent's expectation, they have to do what they feel is best for their child. And so if they need to take their child out of a public school and put them into a charter school or private school or home education or Florida virtual school, that's the choice that every parent has to make. They should know their child best. But having said that, I would hope that we can, in the public school sector, make sure that our schools are performing where they need to be so that we can keep that parent and that child in our schools. We can do a better job in educating their children. If the parent believes that we're doing such a bad job, and how can you fault a parent if 8 of our schools are F schools? And so it seems to me that we have to do a better job to make sure that the education that we are presenting our children is top notch. You can't tell me that Marion County is somehow worse than all the other counties in Florida. It just isn't. We are 61 out of 67 counties, according to the last survey, and ranking of our schools. And we've got to do a better job than 61 out of 67. When I was here 2 years ago, we were we were laughing at the fact that we were 56. Well, we've gone to 61. We're going the wrong direction. We've got to do a better job. I want to keep our students in our schools. We can do it. We just have to have a plan that we can enact as a school board and say we can do a better job in a charter school. But yes, the parent needs to have the freedom to make that choice. But they should have the same qualifications in the charter school that they do in public schools. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Ms. Arnett, would you like me to read it?
Please.
The school district has charter schools. What should be their role within the county education system? And should they have the same accountability standards as other schools?
So to answer the second part first, absolutely, positively, they should have the same accountability standards. Those are our children that are going to those schools, and they should have the same standards that the rest of the schools have. I feel that charters have a niche in our community. I don't think we should have charter schools just for the sake of having a charter school. District 5 that I am running to represent actually has 2 of our charter schools that district represents, so I have done some research into those. One is the McIntosh area school, the other is Francis Marion. Francis Marion was recently, just this last school board meeting, discussed. They have been a D school for the last 6 years. It is a high school that specializes in training young men and women that want to go into the military. Our church, Central Christian Church, we've had like 6 of our young men and women that have actually gone out to Francis Marion. They have a place in my heart. I feel they do a fantastic job of preparing these young men and women for the career that they want to go to in the military. But I feel that the educational portion of that may be lacking. Perhaps these students, when they come into this high school, this charter high school, perhaps they are a grade or 2 below the level they're supposed to be. And so as a district, we need to encourage or have those charter schools, if they need to do more remedial, if they need to do things to get those children up. But absolutely, positively, they should have the same accountability.
Thank you, ma'am. And our last question, Ms. Arnett, we're going to start with you on this one. The school board has had some difficulties in working with the superintendent and the administration. What would you, as a school board member, do to improve the effectiveness of that working relationship?
One of my husband's favorite sayings is, we can disagree without being disagreeable. When he was on the commission, if he had a position and was voted down on the board, he didn't agree with that position to begin with, but that is now the position of the board. That's the way the school board needs to be responding. If they have questions for the superintendent, they need to ask those respectful, and vice versa. But this bickering back and forth, the name calling, the lack of civility, it's very, very hard. The school code of conduct says that children be respectful. If we've got the school board members being disrespectful, it's very difficult to then point to the children and say, you can't be bullying one another. My commitment is to have a relationship, build communication with the district. Go down to the district office. Go talk to the district heads. Find out what they do. Find out what those departments do. Open lines of communication. So if there's something that comes up on the agenda and I have a question, then I know I've had a cup of coffee with that person, or I've had lunch, or have a standing lunch date of twice a month with Superintendent Mayor. Keep those lines of communication open. Keep them civil. We really should expect nothing less.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you. Just out of curiosity, how many of you have either seen the school board meeting on YouTube, or you have been there in person? Can you just raise your hand for a minute? Yeah. Does it look like Jerry Springer to you? It does to me too. And I need you to understand that when I was teaching in my class last year, sometimes, not all the time, but my students would sometimes watch it on YouTube. And they would ask me, Mr. Anderson, why is it that they get to say things to each other like that, but you tell us that we can't do that? Well, that's a hard question to answer, isn't it? When the example is people are yelling back and forth and accusing the others of different things, it's not a good example. And I don't want to be known as the school district, again, that has Jerry Springer type of shows. If I wanted to watch Jerry Springer, I think it's still on TV, and I can watch people fight and do all that kind of stuff on Jerry Springer. I don't want it in our school board meetings. What can I do? I can be a human being that says that, let's be a group that works together, because we're going to get a whole lot more accomplished when we work together. I like the idea that was just expressed that once the decision is made, that's the way that it is. You don't come back and question and downgrade the other person because they voted no or yes and you disagree. That's just the way that it is now. And we can be on the same page because we are human beings. Let's treat each other with respect. I expect that from my students. I would expect that from myself and the other adults that I work with. And yes, we can work together because we have a common goal, and that is to work for your children, our students, to make them the best students that they can be. We can do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson, 1 minute, sir. Tell us why the citizens need to vote for you.
You can vote for me because, first of all, I want you to know I've been married for 34 years to the same woman. I've had 2 children, both of which graduated from Vanguard High School here in Ocala. They went through my youngest went through the entire school system from first grade all the way through. My oldest actually came in when we moved and he became a freshman in college and high school, and then worked his way through to graduation. I know our school system. I know it as a teacher. I know it as a parent. My child now is serving in the Air Force in Utah, and he is having the time of his life serving his country. I know what we need to do. We can have our students be successful. I'm Pete Anderson. I'm running for School Board District 5. I've been a member of this community for 19 years. Please vote for me on August 28th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Thank you. Ms. Arnett?
So I am Sheila Arnett. I am running for School Board District 5. I am here now to make a commitment to you and to our schools that I will visit every school in Marion County. There are 52 of them. I will visit every school at least one time during that school year, or the first year I'm in office. You would think that would not be anything hard to do, but our school board members very, very rarely go to our schools. I am committed to Marion County. I'm committed to being the best school board member in Marion County. The incumbent, as you can see, is not here. She made a commitment to run for school board and dropped out of the race on May 23rd and then refiled to run again on May 25th. She made a commitment to come here tonight and to debate with Mr. Anderson and I, and she changed her mind. I am committed to Marion County. I'm committed to being your school board member, and I ask for your vote on August 28th.
Thank you, Ms. Arnett. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Sheila Arnett, Mr. Pete Anderson, thank you for coming tonight. All right, we're going to move into the county commission race, but right before we do, we're going to have a quick statement, a brief statement made from Mr. Rob Altman from the Marion Coalition for Effective Government. Mr. Altman?
Sure. I'm going to use it over here. Be easier, I think. Good evening. Thank you, everybody, for still staying here with us tonight. First thing I want to do is introduce our board, the members on our board. Jay Boardman, William Taylor, Brennan Grady. We have Todd Frembrough down in the front. Joe Brown is our moderator. I'm going through the names on the list. Rusty Juergens. I'm getting to it. It's Robert Gunn's on the list. Robert Gunn, Tamara Fleischacker, and Michael Sachs. I'd like to say thank you for everybody for them spending their time tonight and helping us out. I'd also like to mention, I guess, our mayor and 2 councilmen have showed up tonight, and I'd like to recognize them and thank them for coming tonight and putting their time in here. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to try and make it short as I can. There we go. The Marion Coalition for Effective Government would like to take a moment of point of personal clarification. This event was planned at the beginning of the year, and all invitations went out to all local candidates for judges, school board, and county commissioners. By July 3rd, all of the candidates responded that they would attend with the exception of Carl Zalek and Kathy Bryant. All emails were sent out with read receipts for verification. This coalition is a nonpartisan group that's only purpose is to give the public another forum to hear what the candidates running for local office stand for and what talents they can offer the residents of Marion County. Sometime just over a week ago, the Republican Business Council decided to schedule a conflicting event and invited all the candidates. This is obviously not a nonpartisan group, but does seem to have a specific council agenda. One of the candidates, Jane Morley, that previously confirmed to attend this event, went on Facebook and felt the need to make a statement that she felt was important enough to title as a press release, and went on to say that she would not attend this event, which she previously replied to, thank you, Sue for the opportunity, and I will be there. She is currently attending the other event tonight, I guess. Well, that is her right. She then went on an ill-informed rant about the Marion Coalition for Effective Government and tonight's forum. Kelly King had also responded immediately that she would be attending this event tonight, then also backed out last week to attend the Republican-only event. The candidates decided to only participate in a single-party forum over a nonpartisan forum like we have tonight. This coalition believes that all voters and residents of Marion County should have the opportunity to hear the candidates and elected officials, not just a select chosen few. That being said, we would like to thank all of the candidates tonight, and we appreciate your character and your willingness to participate in this forum tonight. We wish you all the best in your campaigns. We'd also like to thank all of you, all of those that came out tonight for the support of the coalition and your attendance here tonight. We hope this event gives you some information about the candidates to help you make an educated, informed decision come Election Day. Thank you very much. Thank you for staying.
Thank you, Rob. All right, we're going to wind it on up. We're going to move on with the county commission races. Now tonight, obviously, like Rob said, both incumbents, Kathy Bryant and Carl Zalek, did not respond to our July 1st invitation to attend tonight's event. Both of their challengers, Mr. Mike Crimmy in District 2 and Eddie Leedy in District 5, were both more than willing to come tonight and speak to us about critical needs and important county issues we all must face together as a community. The coalition board is very grateful to everyone who decided to come here tonight and be open and transparent to the public. Out of fairness to both Mr. Mike Crimmy and Mr. Eddie Leedy, we will allow each to go individually since their opponents chose not to attend. So they will have 3 minutes to introduce themselves and 2 minutes to answer each question. I introduce you tonight, Mr. Crimmy.
Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Mike Crimmy, and I'm running for County Commission District 2. I'm a business owner in Marion County for the past 22 years. I own Express Care of Bellevue, where I serve as a physician assistant. We're one of the largest employers in the south end of Marion County. I was born in 1963 in East Orange, New Jersey, then moved to Marion County in 1977. All my education right here in Marion County. I went and graduated from Lake Worth High School, Central Florida Community College, Florida State Fire College, and then the University of Florida, where I received my Master of Medicine's degree as a physician assistant. I then served my country in the United States Army as a combat medic. Thank you. I have 3 children. They're all present here tonight. They all live and work here in Marion County. My beautiful girlfriend, Laura's here. Thank you. And I have 3 grandchildren, in which I'm most proud of. I've been blessed to now afford the time and the opportunity to serve my community in other ways. And that's why I've decided to run for county commission. In the past 8 years, I've seen some huge, costly mistakes made by the county commission, some in the neighborhood of $30 million. Under the watchful eye of an educated professional, these things would have never occurred. A true conservative leader would have never let them happen. When elected, a couple things I want to accomplish. One, I want to start a county health clinic. It will save the taxpayers in the county millions of dollars. It will save the county employees and their families money. 2 is I'm interested in animal shelter reform. I think it's very important we stop killing animals. We need to pass ordinances to make this stop. Also, the County Road and Building Department. We've been hearing complaints for years about the County Road and Building Department, about their inefficiencies and how difficult it is to get permits. And last, I believe in term limits. 8 years is enough. Unlike my opponent, thank you. I will not seek a 3rd term, especially if I haven't made some huge cost-saving changes for the taxpayers of Marion County. A true servant of the people would gladly step aside and let someone with a new, fresh perspective try. A true conservative leader, and that's what you'll get when I'm elected to the county commission. My name is Mike Crimmy, and I humbly ask for your vote on August 28th.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, sir. Mike, we're going to ask you a couple of questions, but again, once again, we do want to thank you for your commitment and honor tonight, showing up. Question number one, keep an eye on these timekeepers on the front. A lot of incentives and tax breaks have been given to attract large corporations to Marion County. What should the county be doing to assure our smaller businesses aren't overlooked as key contributors to our economy?
County should be doing everything it can to ensure that the small businesses get incentives. The small businesses are the backbone of the community and the county. Their diversity, which is the key point to a small business, and that the diversity allows money to exchange hands 7 times within the community, so that money stays within the community. A couple ways we can help them. One, we can give them education on what's available. I think if we have to work closer with the CEP to tell the small businesses what is available to them as far as incentives. And also, I believe that impact fees should be waived or actually deferred for the small businesses in their startup. I think that would help.
Thank you, sir. Question number 2. A large pay increase was recently granted to the county fire and EMS employees. How do you plan to continue to live up to that financial commitment without raising taxes?
Well, I do have a plan. I'm going to start a county health clinic, which will save millions of dollars. It will save the taxpayers money. It'll save the county money. The savings that it incurs will actually fully fund the firefighter raises. I wouldn't have gotten myself in this situation in the first place. I wouldn't have given one raise in 8 years. I would have been given a raise every year, 8 years out of 8 years. Obviously, this was a reaction to re-election. It was a political power move because of strong opposition for my opponent to save her $80,000 a year job. To be perfect, she's been saying this whole time that I have been doing something this entire time about the firefighters. Well, let me tell you what she's been doing exactly. In 2011, she voted to suspend the regular raises of the firefighters. In 2015, the warning signs began when they had to shut down some fire rescue units and ambulances because they couldn't staff them. Again, in 2015, an F1 tornado went ripping through Oak Run and Palm Cay, causing devastation to the neighborhood. These units that were shut down were covering that area, and the response time was severely delayed. And then that same year, 2015, she voted to then cancel the regular raises of the firefighters. This is an amateur causing chaos, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Question number 3. What one area of county government do you feel needs the most improvement in effectiveness? And what would you do to improve it?
One area. There's not just one area. So there are a couple areas that need special attention. One would be the county road and building department. We've been hearing complaints for years about the time it takes to get permits. We need more inspectors to facilitate this process. There are local contractors. They're actually working out of the area because they don't want to wait 3 weeks to get a permit, and they can go to neighboring adjacent counties and get them in 2 days. The Animal Services Department is another. We need animal shelter reform. We have to stop killing the animals. It's a shame. We've killed 40,000 animals unnecessarily in the past 8 years. We need an ordinance passed to stop the backyard breeders, not only in Marion County, but coming from outside counties into Marion County.
Oh.
That's my answer.
Good enough. Number 4, the bonus question. When you leave the county commission, what would you like to be recognized as your best contribution?
I want to be known as a commissioner who cares. I think my best contribution would be to save the taxpayers' money by starting the county health clinic. That would not only save the taxpayers' money, the county money, and the county employees and their family to get good quality health care at a very, very, very affordable rate. I think that's what I'd like to be known for as my contribution to the county.
Good stuff. All right. 1 minute, sir, to tell us why we're going to vote for Mike Grimmy.
I want Marion County to thrive. I want to serve my county in other ways. I want to save the taxpayers' money. I have a business. I own property in Marion County, and I pay taxes, and I want those taxes spent responsibly. I want to make Marion County the most veteran-friendly county in Florida. I am so committed to the veterans of Marion County that when I'm elected to County Commission, I will donate 30% of my salary back to those local heroes that served before me. We got to stop killing the animals. The title of County Commission is not an entitlement, it's a privilege. It is a calling to serve and a calling to lead. And I've been called to be your next Marion County Commissioner. My name is Mike Crimmy, and I humbly ask for your vote on August 28th. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Crimmy for District 2. Thank you, Mr. Crimmy. Okay, now in District 4 race, we have Mr. Eddie Leedy.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Leedy. Mr. Leedy, you're going to have 3 minutes for an opening statement, 2 minutes to answer each question, and a 1 minute wrap it up. Thank you for honoring your commitment tonight, attending this event. We're very glad to have you.
Absolutely. Thank you. First, I'd like to thank everyone that came out tonight to listen to the candidates. I will tell you there's some good news. I'm the last candidate tonight. I was born and raised here in Marion County. I'm your candidate for County Commission District 4. My wife and family, if my grandbabies didn't have to leave to go to bed, are in the audience today. I have my wife and 3 children that we raised and 5 grandchildren. My daughter is the IT director out at the centers. And then my one son is, the middle baby is a foreman at a construction crew. And then our oldest son is serving the U.S. Army and then stationed at Fort Drum, New York. Thank you. I went to work at the age of 18 to the Marion County Sheriff's Office, and a lot of people that are involved in law enforcement say it's a calling, and it was definitely a calling for me. During my 34-year term there at the Sheriff's Office, I worked my way up through the ranks. I worked pretty much every division within the Sheriff's Office, finally reaching the rank of captain. Towards the end of my career, I was the patrol watch commander, the SWAT commander, and the mounted unit patrol commander for the horses. I've served 20 years on the SWAT team before taking over the unit as the commander. Near the end of my retirement, I received the award that meant the most to me, and I received numerous medals there, numerous medals of commendation, 2 medals of distinction, and the Medal of Valor. But towards the end of my career, I was voted Patrol Supervisor of the Year by my peers and subordinates. So that meant a lot to me. I've learned a lot about leadership when I was there at the Sheriff's Office, and coming out of the Sheriff's Office, going into retirement, I've always had an interest in county government. I've always loved this county. I'm vested in this county. I would tell you, if I didn't think that we needed different leadership in District 4, I would not be running. I don't need a job. if I didn't think I could be effective in that district, I also wouldn't run. Marion County for Effective Government offered me this opportunity to come here and speak tonight. And they give them those funds hoping that they can get them here. The perception of some is that our small business is not getting the same advantage that some of our bigger companies are. I think some of it's an educational part of it, that they need to get out and have more education as far as what they offer these smaller businesses. But definitely the county commission and the county as a whole, with the investment they make with the money they give to them, have a say that they do take care of our smaller businesses.
Thank you, sir. Question number 2. A large pay increase was recently granted to the county fire and the emergency medical service employees. How do you plan to continue to live up to that financial commitment without raising taxes?
Well, we're actually in a good time right now. Property values are going up. I've had some discussions. Part of my candidacy has been an educational part for me to know the workings of our government, how our county commission is spending our money. Property values are going up, so we've been able to hold the millage rate. Obviously, as your property value goes up, you pay more on your property, but the millage rate doesn't necessarily go up. The funding that they found to be able to give the fire department their much needed raise, and there's a lot of other county employees that are still at a deficit, was based on 2 things. One, property values increasing, so the revenue to the county was more. The other one was they finally figured out a way to properly bill people for county fire services, such as ambulance rides and things of that nature. They're now actually getting reimbursed for a lot of those fees that they used to write off. So that was how they were able to give those raises without raising taxes. So there was a commitment made that they would not have to raise taxes. I would certainly hold them to that commitment, and certainly hope when I got in there that we'd be able to continue those pay raises without raising the taxes.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Leedy, what one area of county government do you feel needs the most improvement in effectiveness? What would you do to improve it?
That's an easy question.
Okay, sir.
I'd be the District 4 seat at the County Commission, and I'm working on a solution for that right now.
Ding, ding, there's the bell.
But the county definitely has some issues. One of the issues that's a hot item right now is the animal shelter, the county-funded animal shelter. Marion County has one of the highest euthanation rates in the state of Florida, and a lot of that is because, in my opinion, is the commission has been a little bit too much reactive and not proactive. Other counties around us have enacted laws and ordinances to prevent the sales of puppies and kittens at flea markets and shut down some of the backyard breeders and puppy mills. So if Marion County never came to the table and never addressed that or put any of those ordinances in place, obviously all those people are now coming to Marion County and dumping their animals. And then the efforts to try to create a no-kill shelter before the election, there really needs to be, we didn't get where we're at, in a matter of 2 to 3 months. And in 2 or 3 month period, there's been some big push to try to get some quick answers and some solutions done before the election. But I've sat on the Animal Coalition team. I've been to many of our animal shelter people. We can resolve that, and we don't have to raise tax dollars to be a no-kill shelter.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Leedy, when you leave the county commission, what would you like to be recognized as your best contribution?
That I left it better than the way I found it, and that people know that I had a servant's heart. I don't stand to benefit anything through being a county commissioner, making county decisions. I have a servant's heart, always wanted to see to it that people were successful, see to it that we can preserve the beauty of this county, with the development that's going on. And Marion County is at the same rate of growth as Jacksonville and Tampa. We're just below Orlando. And then you often will always hear a politician say, we don't want to be another Orlando. Well, I don't think Orlando wanted to be another Orlando when they got on that path. But if we don't have people in there that love to preserve this county and slow down some of this growth, you can't control growth. It's going to happen. We need a diverse economy so that we're not devastated the way we were the last time that the recession came. I think we have those things in place. I think as a county commissioner, you have people to go out and campaign for that growth. I think as a county commissioner, you don't need to be out growing or going to these companies and Fortune 500 companies and building commerce parks. We have people that are employed in government to do that.
One minute to tell everybody why they need to vote for you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Once again, I want to thank everybody that has hung around. I know it's been a long night. It was a long night for me. At the very end, I was out back there all by myself, so I was anxious to come out and see your smiling faces. You can visit me on Facebook, friend me there. You can find out a lot of things about my campaign. The bottom line is we do need change in our District 4. You can't sit in the ivory tower and look down at people. I don't think you need to be in government to better yourself. You should be there to serve the people. And that's what I intend to do when I get into office, is serve the people, listen to them, go to the meetings. I think that's one way you stay proactive versus reactive. If you're out in the community, you're listening to people, you will know the change that needs to be made. You'll know how to effectively be a leader. So on August 28th, I would appreciate your vote and humbly request it. And once again, thank you.
Mr. Leedy, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, District 4, race Eddie Leedy. Thank you for coming. All right, just real quick, I just want to tell everybody, thank you for coming tonight. We want to thank all the participants, candidates for their professionalism and commitment to Marion County. Last but not least, I thank all of you, the citizens of Marion County. There are many places you could have been tonight, but you chose to be here and check out the folks that could be next in making a difference in our great county. Good night. Oh, and hey, don't forget, cast your vote. We need you to cast your vote when you leave. Cast it and drop it in that little box out on the table. Thank you.